Hey everyone, I'm Jay.
I'm Colin.
And this is Star Wars Conversations. Hey.
Star Wars Conversations. Back again.
Yep, back again. How's it going?
I've been interviewing all week, but I heard I wasn't successful today.
That's a shame, man. I was rooting for you. I really wanted you to get
I know. Bloody Kathy, what was she playing at? What was she playing at?
But what job was that? Are we going to get straight into it and tell people what we're talking about here?
Yeah,
I'm sure they all know.
Well, yeah, something wacky happened at the beginning of the week, didn't it? The old Lego boys got booted off.
They did, yep. So Phil Lord and Christopher Miller have left the Han Solo standalone movie. So when the news came out, that statement came out on the official Star Wars website. They put a statement out, saying the usual stuff. Chris Miller and Phil Lord are talented filmmakers. They've assembled a great cast, blah, 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 all the stuff that you would expect to say in a press release. Apparently, when that news came out to us, the public, they had literally found out minutes before that they were fired.
Yeah, I heard that.
They didn't leave, they were fired, is the rumours that are coming out from the Hollywood Reporter and other reputable, websites.
Sources, yeah.
So, these guys, look, they are really talented guys. They come from a comedy background. And I think when they came onto Han Solo, after being, making such great success with like the Lego Movie, a lot of people were like, okay, this is interesting.
I'm into this.
Good, yeah. And you kind of think Han Solo, he's got a bit of humour to him and that.
And the cast that they got together are quite humorous, aren't they? Woody and Donald.
And I think you need a certain element of humour in Han Solo, although Star Wars always has that little sense of humour in there. However, the word on the street, or from these trades, is that it was more of a conflict of interests. And so Kathleen Kennedy, obviously she's the big boss, right? And if she says, no, I want it like this, you better play ball, right?
She's a big dog. We've said this before.
That's right. But obviously, Lawrence Kasdan and I think his son, John Kasdan, have been writing this movie. Now, Lawrence Kasdan has written Han Solo for a long time. He knows the character. In fact, he said that if there was one movie he really wants to do, it's a standalone Han Solo movie. That was a movie he wants to write. This guy knows the character.
And he's the one that put the lines in that made Han so well known.
Exactly.
It wasn't George, was it?
No, it was his writing.
Yeah.
And so what is being said is that basically it was him and their vision that didn't meld, right?
Yeah.
And before we got into this, I had read in the initial report that obviously they had done some work on the Flash movie, before dropping out, and then it's had so-and-so director come on board and go, and it's had a lot of trouble. And supposedly they've been having some talks with DC about getting back into doing the Flash movie, which, again, may work as a slight conflict of interest with, obviously, Disney
and Warner Brothers.
But anyway, Lawrence Kasdan has a vision for Han Solo. He writes him in a particular way. Obviously, a director's going to come on and have their little spin on things, their little take. And, of course, none of us were in the room to hear what actually happens, but these are just the reports coming out. But he didn't like where they were going with it, and they didn't want to agree with what he wanted them to do. And it sounds like Kathleen Kennedy stood by Lawrence Kasdan and said, no, it should be like this, and here becomes a conflict of interest, and they're clashing heads. And it's kind of like, okay, if you don't want to do it that way, bye.
Yeah, because when the news first broke, I was looking on the old Twitter, because I was trying to look for what Kathy's Twitter was, because for some reason she's never told me that before. I couldn't find it. No, I don't know why.
That surprises me.
Yeah, well, it's because we don't need Twitter, do we, to talk, me and Kathy?
You just talk on the phone.
Yeah. She just picks up the... Call me, Kathy. It's one of those moments, a babe station moments normally. But I was having a look, and I kept seeing loads of people having a right old go at her, saying, "Oh, you're wrong," and saying, no, they were saying a lot harsher stuff than that. And they were also, saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing.
Where were they
made
posting
massive
that?
mistake." I was looking at the hashtag Kathleen Kennedy,
okay.
and people just doing that and then making loads of crappy comments about her and how she's a tyrant and all this. I was thinking, no, she's Star Wars.
And she's a very, very, very talented producer who has a very good track record. Yeah, she's worked on some bad movies too, but she's worked on some great movies.
Well, I've got to say, I've got 100% faith in her. And if she goes away, I'm going with her. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just like when George left.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look, the thing is...
Faster, more intense.
People overreact to this stuff. We don't know.
What?
But
those nerds reacting?
Come on, getting on her case. They weren't there. They don't know what happened, right? And a lot more goes into it. Everyone's now really worried. I am interested to know how you feel about it because, obviously before we go into that, Ron Howard has now been brought on board. That's official. He's going to be coming on to direct. He's got a good history with Lucasfilm.
Breaking news, my friend.
Yeah, there is some other stuff that I've just seen come up I haven't read yet, so I'm going to check that while we're on here. It's a little bit more of what this is, StarWarsNewsNet.com, what their sources are saying about what happened. So I haven't read that yet. I will try and check it as we go. I haven't got to talk about that yet, though.
What's that coming in, Jay? What is that?
But yeah, Ron Howard, obviously he's an American graffiti. He's got a history with Lucasfilm. He's an Oscar-winning director. He
famous ginger.
He is a famous ginger. He's done some excellent films. He's done some not so excellent films. But everyone doesn't hit a home run every time. And
I prefer Clint Howard.
You would?
I prefer Clint Howard.
Okay.
He's the best. His brother, isn't it? Gentle Ben.
Oh, is that his name? I don't know his name. I just know him as
Clint.
The kid who was kind of goofy cute that turned into
a freak face.
Yeah, right.
I didn't realise his name was Clint. And Gentle Ben, he was cute.
He was cute. And he was that weird alien kid in Star Trek.
Yeah.
The original series.
Yeah. So,
and he was in a couple of other episodes. Yeah.
I don't know that he'd have been a good director. But, so he's been brought on board now to continue. I assume they're going to do some reshooting. Extras who were working on the movie that had been booked in have now been told that their dates they're booked in are cancelled. So all those guys who unfortunately had work lined up, now it's like, sorry guys, we can't use you, or we don't need you. There's some kind of reshoots, but Rogue One had a lot of reworking done on it, and that reworking gave us that awesome scene with Vader, right? Now, someone like Lawrence Kasdan, who's written this character so well over the years, he gave him the humour, but the character was played, he takes himself seriously, and the humour comes of that, right? If he didn't like the way they were going, and he's kind of like, this isn't Han Solo, this isn't the character. Do you think they must be right? If they're looking and going, this isn't working, there's problems here, they're going to do what's best for the movie, right?
Yeah, they're going to protect the franchise.
Yeah, and that's the number one goal.
Kathy is going to protect the franchise. She'll get her Imperial Royal Guards and kick those Lego boys out of that bloody studio.
I wonder if she force choked them and levitated them out of the studios.
Or just threw them down the old well thing. Look, Jay, there's a couple of big questions now in my mind. Right? Let me reel some off to you, buddy.
Go for it.
And then you will whack them back at me.
Okay.
So, first of all, there's a whole fact that it's not really the dumb thing to get rid of a director at this stage of filmmaking of a film. Second of all, we've got, no matter who the director is, how much are they really going to influence at this stage? 3, does that mean that if they are going to get a new director in, they're going to can a load of stuff they already were going to do? But I'm guessing not if it's the same story. If the writers are still there, and they're the driving force behind it, then they're just going to have to realign it. Then the next question is, does that mean they're going to put the film back? The next question after that is, what are they going to say at D23 in a couple of weeks? Because we were all hoping for a trailer.
That will be interesting.
So I think we're definitely on the cards for a Last Jedi thing, because I think I reckon they're going to really want to push the Last Jedi to take everyone's mind off the fact that the Han Solo's gone in such a mess. That could be a good thing. And then my last thoughts are, just don't bother with the Han Solo. Let's make it into a Lando movie like we talked about last week.
Well, look, I mean, the first thing is, yeah, it's unheard of to get rid of a director at this stage. It has happened in the past, but it's a very, very rare occasion that it would happen.
Not an
example of it would be Superman 2 with Richard Donner. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
they were nutters, they weren't they? Those...
And I actually like the Donner cut more. So, but it is something that has happened before, but it's very rare. So they must have been really unhappy with the way things were going for that to happen, and there must have been a real standoff where it's like, we can't work together. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think when I listened to Fat Man on Batman earlier today, and they were saying that they'd stopped the production anyway.
Yeah.
And before that, they said a cooling off bit or something like that. So there must have been something gone off.
Yeah. There's not a lot of time left on the shoot, but I guess they could probably extend that a little bit. I don't know what the rules on that kind of stuff are. It would have pickup shots and stuff like that, but then I guess they're going to do whole reshoots in that case, because if there were certain things that they didn't like the way it's going, and as you said, like, well, they've still got the writers, so they'll want to just realign it. Maybe there are some scenes that they're just like, this doesn't work, we need to refilm those scenes the way we actually want them. I wonder how the finished product will turn out, because you know, you're going to have, obviously, their influence in a large part of it. So, you know, I mean, I'm hoping it's not like slapstick humor or something like that, you know. Are you going to see, are we going to see that, like, change? And
I've got, to be honest, on this type of film, does it need to be heavily stylized by a director? If you've got a decent script, we know the Star Wars style. Part of me is wondering why they even bother bringing someone like Ron Howard in.
This one is supposed to be a Western, right?
Yeah.
That Kathleen Kennedy had actually said that. And the thing with the standalone movies is they want to be able to give them different styles that aren't like Star Wars. So the way the saga is put together, that will always be like that. But these other films can have different styles to them.
But when you've got a main character from the saga films, what I'm saying is they don't need to. I'm not saying they shouldn't, yeah. and I agree that absolutely, if you're going to do a standalone film, that would make sense. That's your opportunity.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, it seems to me the reason they've got Ron in is because Ron's a Lucasfilm bum chum. Oh, Willow, yay! And so he's just gonna. I think he's going to be almost like Joss coming in and finishing off for Zach. That is not going to bring much to the party, because he just
brings stuff to that, you know.
Yeah,
not getting on topic, but
yeah, let's get onto that on our DC TV podcast. No, that's Jim and Daryl and the gang over there.
On our movies one, has anyone got one of those? We could do a movies one, maybe.
Nothing Con talks about movies.
Oh, damn. Taylor Network.
To be fair,
podcast.
Daryl
steal all our ideas, don't they? Oh, they came first.
They pretty much they cover everything. To be fair. Anyway, look, let's go back to the point.
Go.
So Ron, I would say the big thing about his directing is he's got beautiful shots and stuff like that, so he can make the film look good. Like I said, he's not got a super fantastic style that will make it look really different or quirky. So I think that, and I'm guessing with the Emmerich brothers, No, what they called? No, whatever they were called, the Lego Boys.
Yeah.
What were their names?
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yeah. Well, them two again. The only things I've seen of theirs is the Lego film, which I stopped halfway through because I didn't like it, and
you didn't like the Lego movie?
No.
Damn.
And the two 21 Jump Street films.
You didn't like those?
No, I like them.
Oh, okay.
But all I'm saying with the comedies, they're not exactly, art house.
Right, yeah.
They haven't got a particular... So all I'm saying is I don't think they brought much style to it either, probably. They might have brought a sense of humour to it, possibly, and a sense of fun and that kind of thing.
I don't know, man. I mean, look, the guys that did Captain America, the Russo brothers, they had come from a comedy background, and they did have a certain style to the way they filmed. They went, they tried different things. Like these guys, if it's going to be a Western movie, I'm sure they're going to try and give it a Wild West kind of feel to it.
Did the Captain America films look any different than the other Marvel films? No.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
That's my point. Right. This is a Disney film.
But if they're going for like a Western, which she'd stated it's going to be, I would expect that they would have tried to give it a Western feel and look. Now, Ron Howard, I reckon, could make that look really good. I think
he'd make it look beautiful.
Yeah. But I think he'll be more agreeable. I think he's going to.
I think he's there just to help them get through it. I don't think he's coming to make his mark. I mean, if you put young directors on this, or someone new, or even someone with a real, well known for a certain way of doing things, then yes, they will want to put that mark on it. Ron Howard, to me, is just someone who's going to finish a job for them because he's a pal.
I think that if they need stuff to be reworked and redone, he's going to come in and he'll do it as they want it, but put maybe his edge on it. We might get some new pick-up shots and scenery and stuff like that. One of the things that I did wonder when they, he was highly rumoured first. Robert Zemeckis was rumoured as well. But once they officially said, yeah, Ron Howard is going to be doing it, I thought to myself, if he does his part well and does what they want, do you think they've kind of been thinking of him for a future movie, like a future standalone movie, like a different one? You don't think he was ever on their mind for one? Why?
I think what you're saying, these standalone films, I think are there for them to try different things. And I think they generally will go with newish directors. Is my guess.
Man. I think that with someone that does make films like him, I reckon they might be willing to give him something down the line.
I think they might now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
but I don't think they had that in mind before.
When they've got him, do you think they're like, okay, we need someone? You know what? We've been talking about Ron Howard a bit for doing blah blah movie. Why don't we bring him on, see how he goes with the rest of this, and then we know if we want to use him.
I don't think they were thinking of using him for another Star Wars film.
Not a future standalone one. But I think that they might have been. I reckon that they might have been. I reckon that could play into it.
Well, unless Kathy comes out and tells us, we'd never know, my friend.
Maybe that'll be one of the big announcements at D23.
Ooh. Well, especially, I mean, look, to me, this just is an opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute, let's turn this into Han Solo versus Boba Fett, or Han Solo, the Lando stories, like we want it to be.
Han Solo, the Lando years.
Yeah. Han Solo and the Happy Days gang. American Crappy, I don't know. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Okay, so but on the back of it all, then we can probably wrap this up. Do you feel quite confident then with the directions going, even with them leaving it being something you don't generally see happen in movies? So it's quite a shocking thing to happen. But do you still feel quite confident with it? Yeah. I'm the same. I am too. I'm like, okay, if that's what they need to do, then they've done what they need to do, and I reckon they'll fix it up. And they've got the money. they can really work it.
They pulled Rogue One out from the crap, I think, and I think they could do it. I honestly, like I say, don't think this film, one, is going to do well no matter what. It's a Star Wars film. And two, by the time they start putting footage out, we'll all be excited. We're going to have a Millennium Falcon. We're going to have Chewie, Han, and Lando in it. I mean, how can you mess that up, really?
It's true. So before we round it up, I mentioned the what our sources are saying article.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to look for which source it is. This is just a few of the sources they've got, and this is what they're
Brown
getting back
sauce?
from them. Yeah.
Tomato sauce?
Yep, tomato ketchup, yep. So one of them says the Lucasfilm Story Group's Kiri Hart said the following about Kasdan's confidence in Lord and Miller at last year's Star Wars Celebration Europe. He was quite vocal about it in a way only Larry can be. He had a tremendous amount of belief in them and feeling that, this is when they first came on board. Larry Kasdan was really excited.
Oh, you
about
mean that celebration event I was at when they first introduced the directors and the new star, and so, Larry was there.
Apparently, so things
you
started
weren't
off
there.
Good. Yep. Things started off good, but apparently it went wrong quickly. And rest assured, however, that in spite of their run-ins with Kennedy and the Kasdans, Lord and Miller didn't pull a Josh Trank on the film, on Lucasfilm. Remember, like what he did with Fantastic Four, where there's all kinds of stories about substance abuse and him just like losing his shit and having really erratic behaviour on the set. So it just says Simon Kinberg saw how badly things were going with that. Contrary to Trank, everything about production was described. Well, this is going into that. Lord and Miller were doing good work as directors. They were even early talks about potentially doing a second movie with much of the same cast after the 2020 movie, provided, of course, that the picture did well. However, something happened along the way, something big, but not something that was immediately noticeable. Several weeks into production, there were concerns that in spite of the good work Lord and Miller were doing with their movie, that something was decidedly off about the way their signature approach was taking the project, and that the bickering between them and the powers that be continued off and on. But the first person who really raised their voice about their worries on the direction of the project wasn't Lauren, it wasn't even Kennedy. Alden Ehrenreich shot first. All right, so it says, for anyone who's worried about the actor playing young Han Solo isn't taking the role seriously, rest easily. Ehrenreich was one of the most important people involved in the project, who voiced his concerns about the project at a crucial moment in the movie's development.
Did he grass them up?
It sounds that way. It was a crucial moment in the movie's development, which means that he is absolutely committed to bring his A game to this role. Ehrenreich's performance has been described to us as being an interesting new take on Han that stands out on its own, while still honouring the essentials of the character, and that it's a worthy interpretation of the iconic scoundrel. And this is why Ehrenreich had come. Is it Aaron? It's Ehrenreich. Yeah, Ehrenreich had concerns with the production as filming progressed. He started to worry that Lord and Miller's screwball comedy angle was starting to interfere with what the character of Han Solo was really about, even if this was a younger, more reckless take on the character than one we met in the canteen on Tatooine. One source described it as being oddly comparable to Jim Carrey's performance in Ace Ventura at times. What? Ehrenreich let his concerns be known to one of the producers, who then told Kennedy about it, which led to her decision to look over the existing footage, which is also a normal part of the production process. But this is where things get interesting. There's more. The film was good in pieces, but frenzied when assembled. That's bad. I'll give credit where credit is due, and note that people at the Weekly Planet podcast. I love
them.
Yeah, I love them as well. Were the ones
Mr. Sunday Movies.
Yeah, they were the ones to break the scoop about the anonymous tip about there being concerns with the movie and that some sequences needed to be reshot. I initially dismissed their concerns in a recent episode of the Resistance broadcast because at the time I was under the impression that they kept using the word reshoot as a pejorative catch-all term to describe a scene being refilmed, even though it's not uncommon for certain sequences to be filmed over and over during the process. Principal photography, blah, blah, blah. Again, I was skeptical, just scanned through it. As it turns out, they were right. The reason people close to the project have described it positively was they saw several isolated scenes. However, when an assembled cut actually started to come together, that was where the issues presented themselves in earnest. And this
faster,
is where,
more intense.
This is where Kennedy and Kasdan, as well as other people reporting to them, started to get deeply concerned. The Weekly Planet podcast mentioned that there were concerns with performances and action set pieces, but from the sound of things, it seems to be more along the lines that Lucasfilm really wants to get an edit that's more faithful to Kasdan's script. Have I mentioned that they really, really like Ehrenreich's take on Han? Because they do. There was something of a zany tone to more scenes than they would have liked, in part due to some of the improv, and I get the feeling that fans might take more of an issue with this than they would have if they'd left the film unfixed. So, reshoot supervision was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I think now we're getting into it, right?
No, there's not more.
No, there's more.
I don't want to know anymore. There's enough.
Do you want me to stop there?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Well, now okay. I'll tell you what, yeah. People can read the whole article on StarWarsNewsNet.com, but it gets into a lot more, and it sounds like this is where it's going to tell you what actually goes wrong. However, one of the things that you said earlier on was, do you think that they'll put the movie back? After reading that, maybe, yeah. Because it sounds like they're going to actually have to do most of the movie again. So
that could be costly, man.
Maybe Ron Howard is there to do a big job. I mean, if it sounds like the zany Jim Carrey Ace Ventura, sounds absolutely terrible. I mean, can you imagine coming out of Star Wars and you're like, what the fuck was that? Right? It's just, so I think that maybe they might have to do a lot more work than was first talked about.
Those crazy kids, what are they playing at? Messing around with Han Solo? I don't know.
Dude, I mean, that doesn't sound... I mean, I'm glad to hear that Alden Ehrenreich's doing a good job.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. I mean, I always thought he would. I still don't know why they don't get that young, talented director, George Lucas, back. Let's have him direct it.
He wants to be involved anymore.
Oh, okay. I mean, look, that article obviously seems to be pulling all the meat out and giving us the inside goss. I just a bit, I don't know. Part of me just doesn't want to know too much now, because I don't want to be thinking about that when I watch a bloody film.
But were you thinking about that when you watched Rogue One?
No.
There you go.
But then I didn't read any of that crap.
You must have, because we talked about stuff.
Well, yeah, only the stuff you told me.
Exactly, and I'm telling you this.
Well, don't tell me it.
But,
I mean, look.
I find that really interesting.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because I was wondering whether or not any of the cast would say, I'm getting out of it, then if the guys... But then it doesn't sound like it, does it?
No.
All it sounds like is that
Ehrenreich weren't too happy. I guess if you've gone... you made a lot of effort to try and bring a good take on this character. He's obviously an iconic character, and you obviously want to do faith to the work that Harrison Ford did all those years. And we know that Ehrenreich had met up with Harrison Ford, so they've obviously talked about Han Solo a lot together. I assume he's chatted with Lawrence Kasdan as well, when he's doing all his preparation. So to go through all of that prep...
I'm sure he talked to Peter Mayhew.
Must have, yep. But, like to do all that prep and then get on the set and be like, they're making me do, like, slapstick comedy. What the hell's going on? It would probably start to ring alarm bells, and it's just probably a good thing that he just opened his mouth and he's like, I'm not happy here, guys.
He's a whistleblower. I wonder if Ice Cube was going to be in it.
Ice Cube?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, he was in 21 Jump Street, and he ruined that.
Maybe he was going to. Do you think he ruined it? I don't think he ruined it. I thought it was funny.
But there were some naughty jokes in there. What? I'm just wondering, because I always thought that when they rebooted the Star Trek franchise, they were going to struggle to capture that. And now I think Chris Pine is amazing as Captain Kirk. and his version of Kirk is as legitimate as Shatner's, I think. I just wonder whether or not Aaron will be able to pull that off.
Well, I guess that's kind of what he wants to be able to do, but
because that's the level you've got to get to. You've got to do what Chris Pine did.
If that was you, and you were, working to try and to achieve that, and then you were working on a movie, and you start to think, why are there so many like gags and stuff like that? You'd probably be like, okay, this is not going to make me look good, because ultimately that's it. People are going to watch it and go, he was rubbish as Han Solo. And it's like, hold on a minute, I worked hard to do this. Just out of interest, Chris Pine. A lot of people go, he just does completely his own Kirk. I do think he does an impression of
he does.
Shatner,
he's got some really good little subtle Kirkiness.
He's got them all there. But yeah, I mean,
and
I can understand why this dude would be pissed off. Go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to start talking about Star Trek, but we don't need to do that. Because I'm looking at the time. It's time that we started thinking about getting out of the rim.
Really? Okay. Okay, well, look, I think that closing statement.
I ain't bothered.
I would say that I'm glad. If this is going to fix something that's not going right, I'm glad.
Yeah, I didn't care about the film in the first place. I still don't care about the film. I'm sure it'll be fine when it comes out.
I didn't, but going into Star Wars, I want Star Wars films to be good, no matter what they are.
But I don't think they'd release something that isn't good. So I've got faith in that.
Cool.
I've got faith in Kathy.
Yep. So what are we doing next then, Colin? That's the end of that bit then.
I thought we were just going to finish, isn't it?
Oh, are we? Okay, is that it? Cool.
I've had enough. Look, what else have we got to talk about? Nothing else. I've read a comic.
We'll talk about that later. Comics? Do we have time to do the comics? No.
Right, so I made an executive decision. We're going to do the Star Wars comics next week. So next week we'll talk about Star Wars 32 and the latest issue of Dr. Aphra, and that, I think, will conclude the Scream and Citadel storyline. So we can definitely wrap that up next week. So that's something to look forward to.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And
now, I guess all we've got to do is say goodbye. But before we do that, I'll just tell you about the Taylor Network of podcasts, where you can find lots of geeky, comic-y type podcasts, including Nothing's On, Sunday Comics, Double Page Spread, Gotham by Geek, Go Trek Yourself, Wade's World, Powered in Shift, Magnum Cast. There are a million of them. They're all brilliant. I really recommend Sunday Comics at the moment because they do some. Daryl's been doing some brilliant interviews. He's got I don't know. I can't remember her name, so I'm not going to say it. And the person that's doing Dr. Phasma comic.
No, Captain Phasma.
Captain. What is anyway, enough of that. Go listen to the Taylor Network of podcasts. You can find it anywhere. It's all over the web.
And you can find us all over the web as well. We are just anywhere on social media as @Star Wars Conversations or @Star Wars Convo or hashtag Star Wars Convo. We're on Facebook, Star Wars Conversations. Join the group.
Yeah.
And you can find us on Twitter. You can find Colin on Twitter.
@Captain Colin.
And you can find me on Twitter @EagleEye1933. So, that's it for this week. It's been an exciting week. A lot of stuff going down. So until next time,
punch it, Chewie.
may the Force be with you.